Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the My Inspirational Year series. So this series is based on my journal, my inspirational year that I wrote, and what I'm doing is I'm live streaming every month on the topic that I share in the journal. So you can follow along with me. It'll be in the beginning of every month, or you can also, and you don't need to get the journal, you can just follow along with me, or you can also get the journal. I have the link here in the post if you want it. So today we are going to talk about letting go to move forward. That's month one topic. And I put this in month one because I am sure you have all experienced at some point in time, a time when you set a goal and you really were excited about it, but you didn't do anything to achieve it. Or you got started and you fell back to where you were eventually. You just went back to your old habits. Do you know, statistically speaking, New Year's resolutions, 95% of them are lost by January 15th. 2 weeks. They last 2 weeks. And we get stuck. We get stuck staying where we are. We get mired down in that status quo, and changing is really hard to do. I visualize it like having bungee cords that attach you to your current situation, whatever it might be. You might be able to take a couple of steps, but eventually you get sucked back in to where you've always been. And that's why I wanted to put this at the beginning of the year, because I know many of you have set New Year's resolutions goals, and I don't want them to go by the wayside in just a couple of weeks. I want to help you move forward. So in order to do so, you really do need to let go of where you are, to release those bungee cords. And I have a couple of really tangible steps that you can take to help you release them. Now, depending how attached you are to where you are, you may have just one bungee cord that you're like, oh, I'm done, and you move on. And those are the areas in your life where it is easy for you to change. I had a client years ago, and I meet with my clients on Thursday. So we met on Thursday and we were chatting, and she said, I think I want to find a new job. And she had no bungee cords attaching her to that job, if you will. She was very comfortable with knowing her talents, knowing she was valuable, and knowing that she would easily find a job. And so on Thursday, she tells me this. On Friday, she gets her resume together, has lunch with a friend, mentions to the friend that she's looking for a job. The friend goes, I have an idea. I think I have one that you might enjoy. She interviews on Monday, has an offer by Tuesday. By the time we were on the call the next Thursday, she was already in her new job. She hadn't left her. She was already, and she already had her offer. She had already accepted. It was amazing. And that's because she had no attachments to that. Now, she did have attachments to other things that we were working on, to be sure, other areas of her life. And we all have that. We all have areas in our life where we just get stuck and we can't seem to move forward. And that means, you got tons and tons of bungee cords attaching you to that place. So in order to let them go, there's a couple of steps. The first step is to appreciate where you are. Okay, so stick with me. A good chunk of those bungee cords is actually judgment and frustration. So usually when we're in an area in our life where we're not happy, where we don't really want it, there's habits there, there's annoyance that you're stuck there, there's frustration about it, there might be some shame, there might be some guilt about it. If you're overweight, or you've been in a relationship that doesn't suit you for too long, or a job where they don't appreciate you, whatever it might be for you, there's a little bit of judgment. Judgment that you haven't done anything, judgment that you allowed yourself to be in this situation, judgment around all the pieces that can be attached there for you. Now, here's what I want you to realize. You don't need to be grateful for where you are, but appreciate where you are and realize that whatever decisions led you to that place, they were the best that you could reach for at the time. Because those filters, whatever it is that kept you from making better decisions, if you will, they were there to protect you somehow, some way. Experts often talk about people gaining a lot of weight because they're protecting themselves from people really seeing them for who they are, to protect themselves. We may stay in a job too long because we're really scared about stepping outside of that job. We're really comfortable with that paycheck or the benefits package or whatever. That's protecting us. And so we're staying in that job because of that. Same with relationships. So just know, you know what? I'm here because I was protecting myself somehow, some way. And I always tell my clients, when you realize that something isn't right for you anymore, that's when you no longer need the protection. So it still takes some work to move beyond it, but realize when you go, wait a minute, I don't want to be this heavy. I don't want to be in this job. I don't want to be in this relationship. It's time. That's when you no longer need whatever that filter is. You've let it go. You've grown beyond it. So instead of seeing yourself as being wrong for being in the situation you are, or shamed or guilty, instead realize that you're learning. That's why you're there. You're in the learning process. So that's tip number 1. Look at where you are. You might even know what you're learning. You may not. It doesn't actually matter. That's immaterial. It's really more to say, okay, I learned something and now I'm ready to move beyond it. Now, tip number 2, those bungee cords that are tying you down where you are, part of that is because as you move forward, you're going to keep looking back. You're going to keep looking back at where you were, and it's going to draw you back. So for example, overweight, you start to exercise, you start to eat a little bit better. And if you're thinking about, I'm doing this because I don't want to be overweight, or if you're putting your resume together because you're thinking about, I'm doing this because I don't want that job, guess what that does? That sucks you right back into where you've been, that frustration about where you've been. Just thinking about where you've been brings you back to it. So instead, what you want to do is look forward. What is it I'm creating? I'm exercising because I want to be fit and fabulous. I'm looking for a new job because I'm amazing and I deserve a job that has a paycheck that I deserve. Or I deserve a job where they totally appreciate all of my incredible skills. I am so excited about a relationship in which I feel totally fulfilled to the core of my being. Can you feel the difference there? It helps you draw you forward. When you're thinking about, I'm doing this so I don't have that, whatever it is behind you, it's drawing you back. You have to fight the bungee cords to bring you forward. You have to fight against something. But when you're thinking about where you want to be, you get sucked like a vacuum into what it is that you want. So here's what I want you to do. Step number 1, I want you to stop and take a moment. Whatever it is that you want to change in your life, I want you to take a moment and go, what if I'm just learning here? What if I'm learning I deserve more? What if I'm learning that I am excited about life? What if I'm learning that fit and fabulous is great? What if I'm learning that I deserve to take better care of myself? What if I was? And just feel the shift that occurs inside of you. Once you've done that, step 2 is to figure out where it is you're going. So often we spend so much time not wanting where we are that we don't even know where we want to go. And I want you to start thinking about, what is it you're creating in your life? Where do you want to be at the end of this year? Where do you want to be in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years? Where do you want to be at the end of your life? So that you can look back at your life with a little smile on your face and say, that was a life well lived. All right, guys, I hope this helps give you some tangible steps to help you let go. If you do want the journal to journey with me this year, my inspirational year, the links are right here on the post. Go ahead and grab one. Otherwise, just join us. Grab a journal, your own journal, and join us as we go through this month by month. I hope this helps inspire you to live your extraordinary life, because y'all, life was meant to be extraordinary. Don't settle for anything less than deeply fulfilled, full of purpose, and vibrantly joyful for you. Have a great night, and we'll talk next month. Take care.